Welcome to the NCDWI Guy podcast, where defenders of the Constitution assemble to prepare for courtroom battle and firm owners gather to develop marketing strategies that will revolutionize the practice of criminal defense. Here's your host, the NCDWI Guy, Jake Minnick.
Hello, fellow freedom fighters, and welcome to episode 149 of the NCDWI Guy podcast. I don't know what to say, really. 3 minutes till the biggest battle of our professional lives all comes down to today. Now, either we heal as a team or we're going to crumble inch by inch, play by play till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's the game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin of error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing, between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. The 6 inches in front of your face. Now, I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you, look into his eyes. Now, I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team or we die as individuals. That's football, guys. That's all it is. Now, what are you going to do? And that right there is the speech that Al Pacino gives in the movie Any Given Sunday. Famous speech. Obviously can't do that justice with Al Pacino being the amazing actor that he is. The way he delivers that is completely unique. But it's important to think about our practice in those same terms. And I would say particularly that we can replace inches with seconds, because for attorneys, we live and die by the seconds. In football, obviously the clock comes into play, and even in the speech, he says that those inches are in every break of the game, every minute, every second. Today, we are starting a 3-part series on how to maximize these small advantages that exist everywhere around us. These tiny details that when we pay attention to them and consistently deliver over time, add up to success in the long haul. It makes a humongous difference in terms of elevating our individual craft in the courtroom, in terms of elevating our practices, our law practices to be what we want them to be. It makes a difference in terms of being the kind of people that we want to become. It's how we maximize those small daily decisions. So we're going to start a 3-part series reflecting on this. And as I just mentioned, the focus for us as lawyers versus Pacino's football team is that we are focusing on the seconds. Obviously, Pacino is talking about the importance of these inches, but we're focusing on the seconds. In a football game, a team that gets 400 yards in total offense, kind of a pretty normal number for teams to hit on a regular basis, at least teams with decent offenses in a professional football game. 400 yards in total offense, that's 14,400 inches. So again, you can see 400 yards. Even there, it's kind of like, well, would a yard really make a difference here or there? Would 397 yards of offense versus 400 make a difference? Would 14,400 inches versus 14,399 inches, would that really make a difference in the game? And there are many games where there really is a winner and loser decided by not picking up that fourth down when you came up 6 inches short, when you came up an inch short. There have been Super Bowls that have been decided by just, a minute amount of yardage. I can remember growing up watching the St. Louis Rams play the Titans. I was pulling for the Titans, and you see the Titans receiver at the very end of the game, just stretching out for that last little bit, and he just does not hit the goal line. He's right there. The difference between forever being in glory and coming up literally inches short in the biggest game of your professional football career. These things really are decided by inches. And in our practices, again, time is of the essence, as we could say as lawyers. Time is of the essence for us who have so long in the past lived by the billable hour. Time is what we used to be selling, maybe not so much anymore, but there is something built into the profession that recognizes that our time is valuable. I have clients tell me all the time, I know you're a busy guy. I know your time is valuable. And, so even outside the profession, and my time is no more valuable than my client's time in reality. Their time is just as important as mine is. But even from outside the profession, there is an understanding by the public that lawyers are busy, that lawyers have a limited amount of time. So there's something built into our profession that is time related. And so how do we maximize these seconds that are all around us? How are we making sure that we are using time to our advantage? Time is not a renewable resource. You're not getting that time back. Whatever time you lost yesterday because it was wasted, because you weren't paying attention, is gone. You're not getting that back. That time is gone. It's forever in the past. It's forever lost. The time that we waste today is forever lost. The time that we waste tomorrow and next week and 1 year down the road, those seconds are not seconds that we can earn back. We can earn more money. We can buy something that we want to buy down the road, but time is something that we are not getting back. We're not going to be able to find a way in the future to save those moments. Now, we can get better starting today with how we are spending our time and maximizing our time, but we're not getting back the time that has been lost in the past. And I think the reason that this is so important for us is because one thing that I hear so often, and this is from myself, so that, this is something that I say, this is something that other lawyers say, but this is something that people say. In America, we're a very busy society. We like to fill our schedules up with all kinds of things. We like to run around. I feel like Sometimes I personally, between getting my kids to different places, I'm primarily a chauffeur, and then I have a side gig as a lawyer. That's what it feels like sometimes. But we have to recognize this fatal flaw, which is, I don't have time to do that. We say it to ourselves all the time. We hear it from other people all the time. I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to eat healthy. I don't have time to make a salad, right? I don't have time to call my client back. I don't have time to get to this county. Some of these things are circumstances that we live in, but a lot of it is a mental flaw that we are putting on ourselves. It is a unreality that we are creating in our own brain. It's a lie that we tell ourselves. We don't have time. And most of the things that we say, I don't have time for that, is the most important things. Generally, when we say I don't have time for that, it's about something important. It's pretty rare that you hear somebody say about, watching the football game on Saturday, "Oh, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy. I don't have time for that." Right? Or whatever small thing it is that you're putting in your day, whatever it is. We generally don't hear, "I don't have time for that," when it's about unimportant things. What people say that about is, "Oh, I don't have time for that," about the important stuff in their life. That's when we lie to ourselves, because we know it's important. We know that we should be doing this thing, but we're not doing it. And so what do we have to do to kind of survive for us mentally, to kind of get through that reality of, I know I should be doing this and I'm not doing it? Well, we have to create some sort of a lie that our brain can live with. And so what do we say? I don't have time for that. The seconds in the day matter. In the poem If by Rudyard Kipling, he ends the poem with these lines: "If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the world and everything in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son." If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the world and everything in it. Is that true? Is that true? If you can literally just fill a minute with 60 seconds of effort, can you conquer the world? I believe it's true. I think it is something that is fundamentally true, that at the end of the day, if we can claim those seconds, claim those small moments of time, be in control of our schedule, because we can be assured that if we are not in control of our schedule, then somebody else is. And this is something that every attorney struggles with. And I remember so many times where I would be sitting in court thinking to myself, I'm just sitting here twiddling my thumbs. I'm just trying to get a continuance, and this has taken over 2 hours of me just sitting in court. So we can kind of create this victim mentality in our head of, I'm not in control of my time. The judge is in control of my time. The DA is in control of my time. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. Don't give up that control. Yes, your case may not get called up for 2 hours, but you need to think about, what can I do to get my case called earlier? If I had showed up 15 minutes before a calendar call, would I have been in a position to get my case continued prior to calendar call, or at least during the calendar call, as opposed to afterwards, because the DA did not have time to talk to me during those 10 seconds when my client's name was actually called during the calendar? Also, if I'm going to have to sit there for 2 hours, what am I doing to make sure I'm maximizing my time in court? Who does not own a laptop at this point? I mean, every courthouse at this point pretty much is equipped with Wi-Fi. If not, you've got a cell phone that can create the internet access that you need on your computer, right? Bluetooth compatibility, hotspot compatibility. I mean, there's no excuse for wasting that time. Bringing a book, bringing a case to read, spending that time networking with other attorneys in the courtroom. There should be no dead time. And I think that, again, we lie to ourselves about this inability to have time. So many of us in the criminal defense world are road warriors, and we are traveling from one courthouse to the next. You know, we run into court, spend 15 minutes getting our case continued, boom, move off to the next county so that we can handle a plea. Boom, move off to the next county so we can take care of these 2 or 3 traffic tickets, right? That's the way of the district court criminal lawyer, is being this road warrior. How are we maximizing those moments that we are spending in the car? Are we using that as time to call clients back? Are we using that as time to grow in our profession, to listen to a CLE, to listen to a relevant podcast, to listen to a podcast focusing on how to build your business? How are we maximizing those seconds? Are we filling the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds of drive, with 60 seconds worth of getting after it, with 60 seconds worth of distance run? Those seconds add up. Those seconds add up. I mean, don't lie to ourselves. Don't let this lie be, well, it doesn't matter. You know, today, you know, I only have to travel between these 2 courthouses, and that's only, you know, going to take me 25 minutes. It's not going to make a difference. When you're doing this every day, when you can maximize those seconds every day over the course of a week, it's going to make a massive difference. Over the course of a month, it's going to make an even bigger difference. Over the course of a year, it is just exponentially different than not using that time. And so I think, you know, one of the things when it comes to time that we are funny about, you know, especially kind of early on in practice, is that we want to see the results immediately, right? So we want to see, you know, when we start an exercise program, we want to see the results of that exercise program next week. We want to get after it and go hard, but then 10 days later, when there's no pounds gone, you don't look toned when you look in the mirror. I mean, there's no difference. There's no visible difference. It's like, well, then why should I even continue? And it's because we're not used to playing the long game. So this is something from Gary Vee that I think is really helpful for us as lawyers trying to build our practices for the long haul and kind of our perception of time. He says, quote, "On the one hand, people hear me talk about being patient and playing the long game, but on the other, they see how much I value speed and execution. At first glance, this might seem like a contradiction, but it's really not. What many people are misinterpreting is that it's not about either or. It's about both. Macro patience and micro speed. In my opinion, that's the winning combination. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, their messed up relationship with time leads to a lot of rushed decisions, bad priorities, and unhappiness." End quote. I love that. I love that winning combination. Macro patience and micro speed. In my opinion, that's the winning combination. You've got to see the big picture. You've got to understand that over the long haul, it's about kind of trying to take slow steps towards your 10-year goal. Slow steps towards building the practice that you want to build. Slow steps towards building the kind of life that you are wanting to build. Slow steps towards becoming the person that you want to be in the future. It's not done overnight. There is no quantum leap that is happening to get to that big goal, that big, hairy, audacious goal. There's no quantum leap that happens. It's about playing the long game. On the other hand, micro speed. So in terms of today, right now, realizing that this moment, this second matters. Filling this second with 60 seconds, or filling this minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run matters. And it matters the next minute, and it matters the next minute, and it matters the next minute, and it matters, again, 10 weeks down the road. In that minute, it matters. So again, we're playing the big picture game, but we're also trying to execute now, in the here and now, in the present moment. And I think that there is this problem with a lot of attorneys, where we try to go hard and try to achieve overnight results, and we get frustrated and we hit burnout, right? We go for 12, 15 hours a day, and that's not healthy. And that itself is built into the profession of working these, 50 50-hour weeks. Maybe that's pretty normal, but 60, 70, 80, 90-hour weeks, right? That's kind of been the way of the lawyer in the past. These, when you're billing by your time, the more hours that you work, the more you're worth. And so the profession kind of built into it. Well, if lawyers are basically worth the amount of seconds that they can put into the law firm, then they better be putting in a lot of seconds. So these big firms where 80 hours a week is just the standard, that's how people hit burnout, is where there is it's just going, doing, not looking up, right? Not having that time, truly not having that time to spend on the things that are most important, the priorities that are most important in our life. So on the one hand, we have this issue with burnout. But now I think the younger generation of lawyers is going to have to wrestle with the flip side of burnout, which is staying hungry and going after it hard. I think we're raising a soft generation. My kids are growing up in a soft generation. We don't keep score, in kids' game, telling our young people that, they shouldn't experience pain and suffering, right? Trying to make things better, trying to talk through things. And we've kind of lost a little bit of this hardness, of this mentality that hard work will get you far. And so I think on the flip side of the generation of lawyers that is used to burnout, and that's kind of the one end of the pendulum. Now it's swung to the other side, where again, you want the success, and you want the you want to live the dream, but there's not this drive to put in the hard work. And so what we have to do is find that kind of happy middle ground between staying hungry and avoiding burnout. And I think that Gary Vee, he really has kind of found that, where it's basically macro patience, micro speed. Taking things into perspective. What is the big picture in terms of what I'm trying to achieve in my life, in the life of my family, in the life of my coworkers, in the life of my firm, and balancing that with, in the moment, I'm going at it hard. Whatever it is that I am focused on, I'm going at it with speed and focusing on execution in the here and now. We got to find that happy middle ground, that winning combination as Gary Vee calls it. I'll end with this. This is a kind of well-known mantra from Alcoholics Anonymous. Nothing changes if nothing changes. It's so simple. It sounds ridiculous. When I was talking with my brother about this a few weeks back, it kind of almost made me just laugh out loud in the moment, because it's so simple that it just seems like, well, yeah, of course, nothing changes if nothing changes. But when you think about it, we really do live our life with kind of this insane mental outlook of expecting a different result despite doing the same thing, right? If you do what you always did, you'll get what you always got. It's another way of putting the same thing. If you do what you always did, you'll get what you always got. If we don't try to claim the seconds in the day, if we don't change anything, if we don't look in the minutia, if we don't dig deep into our daily routines and schedules, we are really going to miss out over the long haul. Nothing is going to change. And I think where we lie to ourselves is that, well, that 1 minute doesn't count, right? That 1 minute that could be filled with 60 seconds worth of distance run is not going to make a big difference over the long haul. And that's where we miss out on tremendous long-term value. So again, we're going to continue this series in terms of just reflecting on how we can make sure, how we can build a mentality where we are maximizing in the minutia. How can we achieve long-term success by finding the right way to live in the moment? If you found the information in this podcast to be valuable, I simply ask that you pay it forward and share this podcast with another member of the legal community. Also, if you would leave us a rating or a review on whatever platform you are listening on, I would greatly appreciate it.